It's safe to say that there have been a fair share of truly wicked and evil characters that have come up in SML. From Does Bad Things guy hiding 26 bodies in the secret room, to CJ doing unspeakable things to a minor. Today, we're gonna be going over all of them and their story, starting with Mr. Winkle. Mr. Winkle has been in SML for a while, making his first appearance in SML movie Bowser Jr.'s First Grade Part 2. In this video, we see Jr. and his friends return to first grade after their teacher the previous day at school was injured because of Joseph. And when they get there, they meet their new teacher named Mr. Winkle. When they meet Mr. Winkle, they see that he acts super strange and inappropriate to the children, calling them hot and making some students bring their underwear to school the following day as their homework. He also lets them know that he's a registered sex offender, and even straight up molests Cody in the bathroom.
How you doing?
Hi.
That's hot.
Things really escalate much further the next day, as Mr. Winkle becomes more demanding and harsh with the way he treats students, desperate to take pictures of them for picture day. He gets pretty far too, until Mr. Goodman notices this and arrests him in front of everybody. He eventually gets out of prison and makes his way back to the school, attempting to get close to the kids again, but it backfires when Jr. and Joseph set the school on fire with their project. Now, Mr. Winkle has made a ton of quick appearances in SML throughout the years, whether it be a neighbor with a swimming pool, or as another predator that Jeffy tries to catch in SML movie Jeffy Catches a Predator. All of these appearances reinforce his personality as a pedophile and villain to the main SML cast. One of the most defining appearances he's had since his first appearance is when he literally becomes the William Afton of SML, being the character that's inside the Springtrap puppet in SML movie Five Nights at Freddy's 3. This appearance was perfectly fitting for him, considering the origins of his character, and it's so iconic to Mr. Winkle that it's the only outfit he's worn in SML since this video. Mr. Winkle is more than likely still out there doing what he always does, as his last appearance we've seen him in is the recent version of the SML Summer School series, Summer School Part 2, where he tries to disguise himself as the teacher again, but doesn't really fool anybody, and when his disguise is eventually revealed, he takes Annabelle and runs away with her, and we haven't seen him since, only briefly making a cameo as a flashback in Jeffy's 20th birthday. It seems that being inappropriate with kids runs in the Winkle family though, as it passes down to the next villain on our list, that being CJ Winkle. CJ Winkle has only made one appearance in SML, that being in SML movie Jeffy's 20th birthday, alongside his older brother, Mr. Winkle. This video follows Jeffy's 20th birthday being celebrated in the present, while being contrasted with Jeffy's life in the past. And in the past, we get to see the terrible way that Jeffy and his sister Phoebe had to grow up. We see them being locked in a cage, fed green beans, and being verbally abused by Nancy constantly. That's only the surface level of their abuse, however, as we see that Nancy sometimes is unable to pay her dues to her drug dealer CJ, and the only way Nancy can pay her debt is to let CJ do some terrible things to Phoebe that I'm not even gonna go into detail about. On his 7th birthday, Jeffy tries to get justice for Phoebe by beating the crap out of CJ, but this backfires when CJ goes to his brother, Mr. Winkle, well, he's on the police force to get away with it. These things happening to Jeffy and Phoebe traumatizes Jeffy well into his adulthood, and gives him plenty of PTSD on his birthday. After pondering everything that's happened to him in the past, he decides that it's finally time to get justice for his sister. Back at Jeffy's old house, we see that CJ hasn't changed in the past 13 years, still doing the same horrendous things to young girls. Right before he strikes again, Jeffy barges into the house and ties CJ up, attaching him to a massive monster truck, and full-on charges through the house, destroying it and killing CJ on the spot. Thankfully, everybody can rest easy now, knowing that CJ is dead and can't hurt anyone anymore. When you think about it, however, CJ could have been prevented from getting in the house if it weren't for our next villain on the list, Jeffy's mom, Nancy. Nancy is one of, if not the most iconic SML villains of all time. time, being the main antagonist of several extremely hyped up SML videos, such as Jeffy's parents and Jeffy's 18th birthday. In Jeffy's parents, we actually meet Nancy for the first time, and this was the video that finally showed us who Jeffy's parents were, as we had been curious for over a year at this point on who they were. We see that Mario gets a call from Goodman letting him know that the woman who dropped Jeffy off at his doorstep is ready to pick up Jeffy again, and Mario has her sent to the new house. When she gets to the house eventually, she turns out to be absolutely disgusting looking, and clearly doesn't treat Jeffy right, and Jeffy doesn't want to go back home with her. Mario eventually forces Jeffy to go with her, leading to a huge argument between Mario and Rosalina. Meanwhile, Jeffy is threatened with starvation while being verbally abused, all until he gets the great idea to jump out of the car and run back to Mario's house. Jeffy then begs Mario to let him stay, and Mario caves in, eventually letting Nancy fall into a trap to get her arrested and away from Jeffy permanently. After her arrest, it turns out that she wanted Jeffy back to get his inheritance money from his late father, Jacques Pierre Francois, who died and left his money to Jeffy and put it in a trust fund so he could get it when he's 18. Nancy's constant obsession of Jeffy leads her to make several attempts over the years to steal Jeffy for her own benefit, such as in Jeffy's 17th birthday, and Jeffy and Jr. go to prison. But by far, her most iconic attempt comes in SML movie Jeffy's 18th birthday, one of the most hyped up SML videos of all time. In this video, we see Nancy work together with Screwball to steal Jeffy since he turned 18, and he was able to receive the money. However, since Screwball and Nancy are lower on the SML intelligence spectrum, they end up stealing Marvin instead, causing Jeffy, Rose, Brooklyn Guy, and Simmons to try and rescue Mario, eventually doing so. Jeffy attempts to kill Nancy here, but she survives, eventually returning in SML movie Jeffy's 19th birthday. And in this video, she tries to get the money from Jeffy again by stealing multiple kids and holding them for ransom. Brooklyn Guy eventually gets into a shootout with her, shooting her in the face, finally killing her.
Die! Well, I made sure she's dead this time.
We're all able to know that she's dead for certain this time, because we see her in hell in SML movie Satan Claus, where she'll stay until Logan runs out of ideas for Jeffy's birthdays in the future and brings her back. And honestly, I could totally see a plot where she escapes hell. I wouldn't even be surprised at this point. But greediness for money comes from Jeffy's dad's side as well, as we see the same wickedness with our next villain on the list, that being Jacques Pierre Francois. Jacques has appeared in SML as early as SML movie Bowser Jr.'s Painting, where he was shown to be a dedicated artist, but his connection to Jeffy was made in SML movie Jeffy's Parents, and we find out in this episode that he passed away and left his $1 million fortune to his only living child, who we find out is Jeffy. For the next few years of SML, we're all waiting for Jeffy to get loaded, but this gets thrown out when we find out in Jeffy's 18th birthday that he's actually not dead, and he had been hiding out and faking his death, making it very clear in the process that he wants nothing to do with Jeffy. Jeffy then actually gets the chance to meet him for the very first time in SML movie Jeffy's 21st birthday. In this video, we see that Jeffy is 21 and finally old enough to drink. So he, Marvin, Brooklyn Guy, and Chef Pee-Pee make their way to Las Vegas to have a good time drinking and gambling their money away. While this is happening, we see that Jacques Pierre Francois is also in Vegas and is currently on the news with Goodman going over all of his paintings. He draws special attention to the one that says balls taped over a piece of paper, since he claims that they've never been used to make a kid. Prince Abu Dhabi sees this painting and plans to pay only if Jacques can assure they are completely unused balls. Right on cue after this, Jeffy walks in and makes it clear to the prince that Jacques is his dad. And after some back and forth, Jacques knows that Jeffy won't stop. So he decides that the only way to make sure he can get the money and prove that he has no son is by full-on murdering Jeffy so that Jeffy can never prove anything. Jacques comes to the room and steals Jeffy away, taping him, trapping him in his Jeffy-mobile that's tied to an airplane, planning on dropping him off on the ground to try to kill him. But Jacques gets some instant karma for trying to kill Jeffy, since he escapes in a parachute, causing Jacques to try to kill him with the plane, and instead crashes the plane in the process, killing him and everyone else on board.
Good thing I always keep a parachute and a pair of scissors under the seat of my car.
Speaking of some characters who love money, we gotta talk about another character who loves money and especially stealing things. Ya boy Douggee. This is a little bit more of a lighthearted villain on this list compared to some of the other ones that we've covered, but I wouldn't exactly consider him a saint either. Far from it, actually. Douggee, or Black Yoshi as he used to be known, has spent all of his time in SML basically stealing expensive things. Money, and even fried chicken. These habits that he has gotten into cause a variety of problems with the SML crew. Like the time he stole everybody's Christmas presents in SML movie How Black Yoshi Stole Christmas. In this video, we get to see Black Yoshi literally straight up kill Santa Claus and take all of his presents away to save them for himself.
All these presents, boy.
Black Yoshi, what are you doing?
What's up, Bo? I'm just going through my presents.
Those are not your presents, Black Yoshi. That's Santa's bag of gifts.
But he gave them to me after I saw him choke on the cookies and die.
We also see Black Yoshi get himself put on house arrest for stealing money from a gas station and pretending that he was trying to save it. He gets around his punishment by giving Jeffy his ankle monitor, which leads to Brooklyn Guy bringing a gun to school, causing Brooklyn Guy to almost get kicked off the force until he brings Black Yoshi in, and Black Yoshi fakes him out and gets away with everything he did. Since this, however, and the introduction of Douggee instead of Black Yoshi, we see the character just get a whole lot more stupid, but still doing the same things of trying to steal some stuff and whining about Call of Duty. So he's definitely still a villain, but a far cry from where he used to be. We're well into this list, but before we go any further, make sure you're subscribed, because we're about to talk about one of the most insane and memorable SML villains of all time, Does Bad Things Guy, who we see in SML movie The Secret Door. Logan set up this episode all the way back in SML movie The New House, where we see that Brooklyn Guy mentions that 26 people were murdered in the new house that they were touring. He also tells everyone when they get to the second floor never to go in the secret door for any reason, leaving SML fans wondering for months what was behind the door. In this actual episode, we see that Mario and Rosalina try to play hide and seek with Jeffy, but he doesn't know how to count at all, leading Mario and Rosalina to count, and letting Jeffy go hide instead. Jeffy, while trying to hide, hears knocking coming from the secret door and decides to go in. Mario and Rosalina then get done counting and hear Jeffy scream, leading them to go in the door and see the absolute whore waiting for them on the other side.
What is going on?
What is happening? Why are there bodies everywhere?
They then decide to call the cops to get some help with the situation, but it turns out to be a bad idea for them, as the cop is the person that murdered all of these people and stuffed their bodies in there, and he attempts to do the same for them, tying them up and almost killing all of them. But then the real Brooklyn Guy comes in and saves them from it. He then explains that it was his brother Does Bad Things Guy who did all of this, and he was away for a while. This video was certainly hyped into oblivion, with the setup Logan did and the countdown to the secret door livestream happening as well. I guess it's up to you to decide how much it lived up to the hype. Ever since this event though, we haven't seen Does Bad Things Guy, letting us know for sure that he's dead, and that he won't murder anybody else. Soon after this video came out, we have the start of another character who might not be described best as villain, but certainly an antagonistic force. That being the one and only Mr. Goodman. Goodman has had appearances for a long time in SML, starting all the way back in the old house era being played by Zeke, and eventually evolving into a cop and sort of a businessman played by Lance instead. And when we get to SML movie The Bet, we get the chance to meet the then new Goodman, who is constantly demanding Mario's house payment and is super disrespectful to everyone he meets around him, even after learning how to be poor when he loses all of his money in this video. There is no end to the list of terrible things that he's done to the other characters, but some of the most notable things I can mention is being racist to his brother in SML movie Mr. Hoodman, constantly abusing chives like we see in SML movie Goodman's Turkey, and even straight up shooting Jeffy in SML movie Invisible Jeffy.
You motherfucker! You get the fuck back here! I'm gonna shoot your ass! Oh, dang it! got shot. What?
Goodman's morals even trickle down to the way his children act, as we have a lot of evidence that Richard and Benjamin might not be that bad of children, but Goodman's influence on their life makes them act a lot worse than they should. Mr. Goodman was once good, but this is much more far in between nowadays. But next on this list, let's take a look at Screwball. Screwball has been in SML for over a decade, just like Mr. Goodman, making his first appearance in SML movie Bowser Jr.'s Mom. And throughout the course of the channel, we get to know one crystal clear thing about him, which is the fact that he's a terrible person that also happens to say stupid things all at the same time. We see this quite frequently in SML, such as the time where he lives in the house with Joseph, trying to date his mom, not even realizing that she's dead, and getting way too much pleasure from Bowser Jr. pulling his snake balloon in Bowser Jr.'s 6th birthday, adding to the enormous list of things that Screwball does in SML.
Why don't you go ahead and give it a tug, kid?
Okay.
Two of Screwball's biggest offenses are when he worked with Nancy in order to kidnap Jeffy to get paid, which we see in Jeffy's 18th birthday and 19th birthday videos. In these videos, we see Screwball doing things that could get him a number of charges, including kidnapping, destruction of property, attempted murder, and a lot more. Screwball might also be a terrible person, but there's no chance you're gonna see him disguised as a hero. A thing we can't say about our next villain on the list, Super D. Super D appeared for the first time in SML movie Jeffy's 16th birthday. In this video, we see that Mario is throwing Jeffy a birthday, but the only thing that Jeffy really wants for his birthday is a car. But Mario ends up getting a crappy car instead, starting a chain of events where Rosalina and Jeffy get mad at Mario for almost everything. Right on cue after this, Rosalina answers the door to see her ex-boyfriend Super D, who comes in and gives Jeffy a new cake with his cake vision, and then gets Jeffy a car with his face on the hood.
What are you two again, friends?
Oh, we're married. Look at my ring.
Married? Alright, it's time to use my divorce vision.
Oh, no divorce vision. How about you use your leave vision and go away forever vision because we don't want to see you ever again.
Jeffy then goes on a ride with Super D in his new car. But we find out very soon after this that Super D is not someone that Jeffy needs to be around, as when Jeffy and Super D get pulled over in the Corvette, it turns out that it's stolen. Super D ditches Jeffy, leaving him to take the blame. And then we learn after this from Brooklyn Guy that Super D is a notorious villain that nobody should be around. We see this claim supported in many videos after this, such as when he hires a robber to try to kidnap Rose to look bad, and another time where he buys a Turbo Man doll for Christmas in SML movie Jeffy's Christmas gift, solely to make Mario's life harder. And hell, there's even the time he flat out admits on the news that he set a girl's house on fire because things weren't working out on their Tinder date.
Well, I was on a Tinder date with this girl and she wasn't really feeling me, so when she wasn't looking, I used my laser eyes to set her house on fire, so then I saved her from the fire, and now she's way into me and she thinks I'm a hero.
But Super D redeems himself while fighting alongside Super Big D, Marvin, and Mosquito Man in the video The Avengers of D, against our next SML villain, Super Huge Long-Lasting Big Girthy D, who is another one of Rose's exes, with a, let's just say, tail on the front of him, who distracts himself with Marvin's D, and then gets beat up by everything, disappearing as quick as he came. He's a pretty big superhero, so he's probably still living out that life. Jeffy might have had some bad run-ins with Super D, but absolutely nothing compares to the run-ins he's had with his arch nemesis, Bully Bill. This rivalry has existed for a while, and it started all the way back in SML movie Jeffy Gets Bullied. In this video, we see that Jeffy is minding his own business until he gets straight up harassed by Bully behind him, who throws paper balls at him and calls him a retard. Jeffy eventually gets fed up with this and teaches him a lesson.
Yeah, I got excelled, Daddy.
Excelled?
The teacher said I was doing so good that he excelled me.
Do you mean expelled?
Oh yeah, Daddy, that one with the P.
You got expelled, Jeffy! How'd you get expelled?
Jeffy gets in big trouble for this, and Bully literally does the same thing again the next day, with Jeffy handling it the same way, eventually getting him expelled. Mario and Rosalina then attach a camera to Jeffy to catch Bully Bill in the act, which it eventually does, leading Jackie Chu to get Bully in trouble, with Bully apologizing to him, seemingly ending it from there. But unfortunately for Jeffy and everyone else, it does not end there, with Bully bullying tons of different characters, characters, like Jeffy again, Cody, Junior, Mario, and Brooklyn Guy as well. Being a constant difficulty on everyone around him, he's still kicking, and there's absolutely no chance that he's gonna stop anytime soon. The students in the SML classroom, however, have a lot more to worry about than just Bully, as they need to worry constantly about the next villain on the list, Principal Steinbeck. Principal Steinbeck has been in SML for a while, being from the old house era like a bunch of other characters, but he's mainly seen when there's a school series going on like Bowser Jr.'s First Grade or the new SML series. There's truly not a lot we can see about him since he's super one note in the way he interacts, but he is always insane whenever he's on screen. Steinbeck's defining characteristics are usually barging into the room, being super loud, and screaming at the kids. But he's done some even more insane things, like letting the pedophile Mr. Winkle into the classroom with kids because he was called hot, and straight up assaulting students like we've seen when he beats Toad up for throwing a paper ball at him.
Anybody wants to be funny?
Oh my god! Principal Steinbeck's beating up Toad!
So yeah, as long as the SML characters are in school, they'll always need to be looking over their shoulders for Principal Steinbeck. But everyone in the SML universe needs to look over their shoulder when it comes to avoiding the traps of Billy the Puppet. Billy makes his debut in SML movie Saw when he comes to live with Marvin and Rose as a favor to Craig. The thing that Bully does more than anyone else is ask people to play games, but the catch is, with all of his games, it can lead to a ton of injuries, but he especially loves using aids that are usually attached to needles. Billy has also been caught torturing and even murdering people, like we see in SML movie Billy's Revenge. In this video, we see Billy force Brooklyn Guy to rip his eyes out, chop off Mr. Goodman's balls, and even cause Brooklyn Guy's assistant Susan to die when he gives her pepper and she sneezes afterwards.
Oh man, that is messed up! You sneezed on my sandwich!
Billy has clearly been shown to have no regard for any human life, and causes quite a lot of problems on screen. So let's just hope that we don't see him again anytime soon. But finally, we've made it to the bottom of the list, and we're gonna end it with possibly the longest running, but most fallen and flanderized SML villain of all time, Bowser. Bowser started his time in SML incredibly early, being an antagonist throughout the entirety of the Mario and Luigi Stupid and Dumb Adventure series, doing some horrific things like kidnapping Peach, eventually causing her to be the mother of Bowser Jr., and straight up murdering Luigi and Black Yoshi, all just to torture Mario.
I'm gonna kill you, Mama Luigi. No! I'm gonna kill you.
Since this era, though, Bowser has fallen off about as much as any SML villain could, with him being just a shell of his former self. Bowser eventually started watching a show called Charlie and Friends, and since this, Bowser's defining characteristics is being lazy, watching TV, and neglecting Junior all the time. This problem proceeded to get even worse, however, with the transition to puppets in February of 2021, where Bowser became Braxton, and there's no more left than just a shell of his old self, really never appearing in that many videos anymore. This way, at least we're not gonna have to worry about any time where Braxton is gonna kidnap Rose or something. But if you think Braxton should kidnap Rose and never bring her back, subscribe. And while you're at it, watch the video on screen. I'm sure you'll love it.